Welcome everybody, welcome to the stream. My name is Jose, I am a Golden in Kendo. This is Kendo Tips. Today we're going to be watching some Kendo videos, talking about them, answering any questions you might have. And hopefully having a good time trying to learn something to take and put into our Kendo. That's the purpose of this video, so I hope you enjoyed them. And if you haven't, please make sure to hit the like button in the video, in the stream, because it helps this stream get pushed out to more people, and then we can share Kendo with more people out there. Also, for anybody that's interested in the Kendo Tips Discord server, you can join it. I'm gonna put the link in the, it should be coming up. You're free to join the Discord server, and it's a good place to get to meet more Kendo people. If you want to send me a message, contact me or anything like that, that's one of the main reasons why I have that. So please, if you feel free to join. Let me make sure that I have everything set up correctly. Please let me know if the volumes are good and everything is perfect. So Stefan, welcome to the stream. Thank you very much for passing by. And Gas, thank you very much again for passing by. Also guys, as some of you might know, we have a membership for the channel. It really helps this channel stay active and bringing more stuff for you. And also you get a couple of extra perks with some of the memberships there. So please check them out. Let me know your thoughts. And if you would like to support the channel, you can do so there, or you can do so with the super thanks as well. Anyways, today what I want to do, I want to share some videos from so last stream we did the semifinals and the finals for the Women's All Japan Kendo Championship, and I was going over some of the other fights, and there's a couple of Jodan fights, and I think it will be interesting to check out some of those fights and also see what happens a little bit on the earlier rounds, because one of the cool things about this tournament is that because everybody has to go through such a tough selection process, I think all the fights have something to offer that we can learn from. So that being said, I thought that it will be a great idea to watch some of those matches. Louis, you're saying good to see you. You really appreciate videos. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your support. And thank you. You don't have to join as a member. I'm just saying the option is there because it really helps the channel. Okay. So you know what? Without any further ado, let me go into what I will appreciate, guys. If you could just please hit the like button, it really helps out the channel. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. And I keep realizing I keep setting up the camera backwards because I should be looking this way, right, to the screen. But apologies. Yeah, I'll do it better next time. Anyways, this first match that we have here, it's on the first round, and again we have a Jodan player and Chudan against Chudan. Okay, so red is going to be Jodan and white is going to be Chudan, if I remember correctly. Hold on, let me just make sure that I have the chat over here so I can see you guys, and please let me know if the quality of the stream is good. Okay, Nick, red is a first-year student. That's actually pretty cool information. Thank you very much for sharing that. Thank you for passing by too. So one of the reasons why I wanted to go over some Jodan matches as well is because I feel not only it's, for a lot of people, it's very rare to encounter Jodan. And I think that many times people tend to lose against a Jodan, not because they're, because Jodan players are better. It's probably because the Chudan player doesn't have the experience to go against it. So that's the purpose of it today. We're going to try to be looking at both sides, just to kind of discuss a little bit. One thing that I always like to mention, I always like to say, that people feel safe by covering against Jodan, by bringing the hands up. But that opens up a big door for them to do modo tecote. So maybe we'll get to see a little bit of that into this match, and we can discuss a little bit. That Yodan Kama is pretty high, right? Oh, very nice timing from John player. Sorry. White is the Yodan player. I said it backwards earlier. Wait, Nick, because I see your message, but it's kind of okay. It's amazing how much difference experience against Jordan helps. Yeah, definitely. Chiba Sensei, yeah, Chiba Sensei has a great video on it. But you know, like I think he goes through a lot of experience. Experience is the key, right? Like you have to get that experience. So Chudan player, it's keeping a healthy distance, right? It's a little bit tricky, the distance, if you open up the distance, right? Because Joan players can be tricky because they can switch the footwork, they can switch the feet, and they can reach a little bit longer than people are used to. So again, if you don't have that experience, that can catch you off guard. So, oh, what happened here? Okay, sorry. Nick, luckily at Apple Kendo you have 8 Jolan players. That's cool. That's awesome. Stefan, Jolan player jumping so much. I guess it's the style that she has. I wouldn't say that this is normal because, for example, older Jolan players tend to be a little bit more calm, and normally the Chudan player is the one that's jumping around. But it depends on the style. I feel like the quality of the video is kind of bad. Hold on, give me 1 second, guys. I'm so sorry. Let me make sure that the playback. Yeah, wow. This quality is so bad. Sorry. There we go. You see how she switched the footwork, even going backwards? If you can watch how she goes forward. Look how she goes forward and then goes backwards, switching the footwork. So it's very swift, right? So especially when you have somebody with this experience, it's you know, it's very interesting. So we didn't get to see any Nippon here, but you see what happens here. So red brings in the hands up in order to kind of feel protected against the Yodan player. But then immediately the Yodan player goes around, missed it, but it was very close of getting a Nippon, because if you raise your hands like this, maybe you feel safe because you think that the sword is going to come down straight, but they have the power to move the sword around, get around your sword, and actually hit the target. So this was actually very close to making contact at the right place, but obviously it didn't. So it's just good thing. So, okay, so this was close to making contact. It didn't, luckily, for the red player, but it's something you want to keep in mind when you're fighting against a Jodan player. You don't want to give them that opening by bringing your hands up, because then you will be blocked, you will be stuck, and they have a lot of freedom against you. So keep that in mind. Oh, that was a close call. Watch this. So if you watch the timing of what's happening here, I think White has a good understanding on how to kind of create a reaction and also see that reaction, and assess what's happening. Because if you see, White kind of like sinks in the body, like it's coming in, and then smoothly transitions to going forward. I feel that Red kind of went to cover a little bit too soon. And I always say this, a lot of times when people kind of freak out and cover up and they overreact, they tend to overcompensate by relaxing. And this is kind of what happened here for Red. She relaxed, she dropped the hands, and she almost got scored on. Thankfully, she moved backwards, she made a little bit of a distance, and White couldn't reach her. But this is something that you also want to keep in mind. You want to try to avoid this type of mistakes where maybe your opponent didn't make you have an opening, but just yourself, you kind of gave that opening to them. Hope that makes sense. Let me know in the comments, guys. Ooh, okay, we have a lesson from here, right? We have a lesson to learn here. So, why do you guys think she fell, right? Like, well, first of all, do you think that Red did anything wrong here, right? Let's just start by that. Do you think Red did anything wrong in this exchange? Personally, I don't think so, right? Like, she kind of just held her ground. She didn't seem to have any malice or anything like that when she pushed back. So I don't think Red did anything wrong whatsoever. And one of the main reasons, and Nick is saying a basic lessons in physics, yeah. Look what's happening here. She's coming in with all of her weight up, like all of her, like her feet are under her, but she's kind of like leading with the upper body. I don't know if that makes sense. And when she finds this sudden stop, the feet kind of go under and, causes her to fall. Very important that when you attack, you want to push from underneath rather than kind of dive in, because then you can actually hold your ground against these sudden stops that your opponent might give you. Something you might want to keep in mind. Yeah, something you might want to keep in mind. I think the Jordan player has a very nice and interesting footwork, especially the way that she switches it up as she tries to make more distance. Oh, that was a cool attempt for Renzo Kuwasa. That's another thing that you also want to keep in mind against Jordan Jordan players, that she throws the Shinai down, and a lot of people think that, okay, maybe she already wasted her opportunity, but no, some Jordan players are really good at resetting and going again. I don't like the as Stefan says, like the jumpiness that she has. I feel that, oh, okay, sorry, if you're a Jordan player, you definitely need to pick up this skill, and it's to recover your sword after a miss. And look what happens here. The sword goes down and immediately switches it up to come back up and try to be ready as soon as possible, right? You want to try to avoid losing control of your sword once you throw that sword out there, especially when you miss. It's funny because the Jordan player seems a little bit too, you know, not really communicating. And it's interesting because a lot of times when people ask Sensei, can I go into Jordan, right? And one of the main things that you want to learn before going to Jordan is understanding distance, right? Like understanding what the proper distance is for engagement in order to, have a successful strike and so on. But after understanding the distance, you also have to understand how can you communicate with your opponent so that way you can make them give you an opening and you can create that type of tension you can create that tension and get a reaction from them. So it's not easy to do this if you haven't really learned how to do it, even with having the swords in front of you, right? So I feel right now that maybe the Jordan player is a little bit nervous, so it's a little bit too jumpy, and he's not really trying to communicate and understand the timing. So I actually haven't seen the final ippon on this one, but if my guess, it could go anyway, in any direction. But I'm guessing that the Chudan player has a little bit of an advantage if she's trying to study the timing of the Jordan player. My guess. Oh, but okay. Great opportunity right here. So she took the opportunity very quickly, very nicely, very sharply too. That was a cool ippon. But watch her footing. She almost lost her footing there too. Look, right? Like she maybe something that maybe there's a habit that she needs to work on, but. And that's another thing that you also want to keep in mind, right? That a lot of times it's not necessarily you making the opponent give you an opening, but some other times you want to take advantage of when their opening is there. And actually I was having this conversation a few weeks back, and a lot of times, especially for Shinsa, right? Like, and for Jigeko, you don't want to go attack because it kind of shows that you are not really trying to control the fight. Like there's a lot less attacks, especially when you're preparing for Shinza. But for Shiai, it becomes favorable to have the ability to throw as many attacks as possible, as long as you're understanding that you're also giving away your timing, right? So you have to use that cautiously. But in this case, I think it was favorable for White, because she just kept attacking. She looked for that opportunity. It's not about just attacking at any time and randomly. It's that she was throwing as many attacks as she could whenever she felt that there was a slight opening in there. And at the end, it kind of gave, a good result. So yeah, at this point, Red is definitely under pressure with 1 point under. Oh my God. I saw the opening as soon as Red took that step forward. So I think that Red kind of took a little bit of too long of a step, and she got caught as she was still trying to set up her footwork. So look, she comes in and she's stepping in, right? And within that step, she gets hit. Just watch it one more time real quick. I've been getting this question a lot in my videos and messages and stuff about when is it the right time to hit, right? When is it the right time to attack? And there are a couple places where that happens, and this is definitely a good example of it. Mid-step, if you're able to anticipate when your opponent is taking that step and you launch your attack in anticipation when that person is trying to figure out whether to bring their back foot forward or they're already committed to the momentum with the forward leg, this is definitely a good place to attack, because it's going to catch them at the position where they can really not adjust. They cannot adjust, yeah, you're gonna find them at that position where they cannot adjust. So in this case right here, if you watch what's happening, red takes a step in and then starts taking a long step in. And even before that she was able to move her sword or anything, white was coming in because already there was a little bit of sense of, I guess, anticipation, in the sense that she was coming in, and instead of backing off, she decided to attack and managed to get a nice ippon at that point. So great approach. Hold on, Stefan, give me 1 second. Let me just make sure that I start, looking up for the next video while we talk. So you're asking, do I use Yodan in Shiai? No, I only used it in a like a mock Shiai, just for fun. But no, I am not a Yodan player. I have done it in a way to kind of help people understand Yodan, or for me to understand Yodan better, but definitely not a Yodan player. Hold on, let me just make sure that we get a different fight. I wanted to do another Yodan fight. Okay, yeah, I got it. So, and that's another thing that I will suggest. To kind of keep in mind that maybe there's not a Yodan player in your dojo. Maybe your sensei can help with some instruction in Yodan player, in some instruction doing Yodan, and not necessarily to do it at a competitive level and stuff like that, but at least to understand, what it feels to be in this position, and also to help other people to know what it feels to have that in front of them, and try to study the weaknesses, right? Like, just even if it's for fun, I think it's a healthy exercise to do. But obviously you want to do it correctly. You don't want to do things, just to throw attacks for no reason. Silas, thank you very much for passing by, and thank you very much for being a member of the channel. I really appreciate it. It really helps a lot. Okay, let me make sure that we are in the right place. Now, again, this is also going to be another fight of Chudan against Yodan. Let me make sure that we have volume. Sorry, guys. So, if you compare this fighting to the fighting style that we saw from the previous fight, it's very interesting because there's a little bit of a better control or better communication, I think, from both players. They're not so jumpy, but there is a little bit of that push and pull from both sides. And so it kind of shows a little bit of how they're feeling the pressure, I guess, and how they're communicating with each other. I don't know, what are your thoughts? But you see, I think so. If you watch the Chudan player, she changes the Shinai position in one side and comes back to the other side. So she's trying to figure out what type of reactions she's going to get. Also trying to make sure that she's not unguarded, right? Like, she's always on guard. And again, you want to avoid bringing your hands up against the other player. Keeping the tip of the Shinai. This is very important, guys. So whether you go from one side or the other, you want to keep the tip or the intention of the tip going towards your opponent. What that means is that, for example, even if you're going to be like a little bit of an angle, you want the tip to always kind of follow this. If you're here, same thing. But if you're here and you're kind of like, twisting like this, the tip is not really going towards the opponent, right? It's kind of like just going out to the side. you always want to keep that like the Hatsugi at the edge of the sword, always aiming towards the opponent, so that way the first reaction, because remember, your palms, the palm of your hand is going to be aligned to your sword. So even if your first reaction is to extend your hands, you have a chance of getting a nippon that way. But if the edge of your sword is not pointing to the right place, the first reaction will probably be a wrong reaction because it's going away from your opponent. So always try to keep the tip in whatever kamae you have. Keep the intention of the sword towards the opponent. Or you may even want to think about keeping the palm of your hand towards the opponent rather sideways. Because then if you push, you're gonna push the sword out of the way. I hope that makes sense. And yeah, I think that's a good thing to remember, especially when you're fighting a different kamae like Jodan or even Nito, right? And also, it's a good thing to keep in mind when you're actually attacking and changing angles a lot too, which also happens a lot against Jodan, right? Because maybe you want to threaten one side but then switch the other side. If you don't have a good direction from your hands, then you're probably gonna miss that target. So that's why the grip of your sword is also very important. Like if you see right here, look how she does this attack right here. So she comes in here and then switches to the other side, switches from one side, then goes to the other side, right, this way, and she's keeping that intention, that sword towards the opponent. So very important, very, very interesting. So, oh, what happened here? Oh, okay. One of the easiest, I'm not gonna say easiest, that like as it's easy, but one of the best approaches against Jodan is to bait them into throwing a technique and deflecting their sword. Because remember, they have only one hand in their sword, so a lot of times Jodan players tend to cover up after throwing by putting the hand up, right? Like, so it's harder to hit their men. But if you can get the right timing, you're gonna be able to deflect their sword and counter them on the men. So in essence, men suriage men. And a lot of times, some players, they tend to like even try to maybe pretend to drop their guard to get that reaction. So maybe that's what Red is doing right here. Maybe that's what she's trying to do. Not quite sure. But it's interesting how she keeps doing it, right? Like, and then as soon as White comes in, she almost got hit actually, I think, right? Like I think she didn't, maybe she was prepared to do it, but she maybe like choked up on that moment. And she maybe almost got a nippon, right? But she kind of played it off by throwing another technique and hitting the elbow of the Jodan player. Oh, so she's very good at adjusting. Red is very good at adjusting her footwork and changing the direction of the attack, right? She goes into one side and from a very close distance, she's able to go around and try to go for that kote. That distance is very close against a Jodan player. You might want to keep a little bit of a healthier distance. Oh, I'm telling you, I think Red might be either Red is learning her timing or Red is gonna get caught because, actually that was pretty good on the block, but I think she was too static, right? Like her footwork, she was like in one place. Watch. She does the block by sinking in rather than trying to be in motion. And that's what you want. You want to be in motion. Whether it's forward or backwards, right? In this case. But I think Red has good chances of getting a nippon. Oof. Oof. And many people ask, so in situations like this, why didn't she go for Gyakudo, right? Like right here. And I'm going to say this is very vulnerable. You end up being in a very vulnerable position. There are high chances that she might miss, and high chances that white might come around and hit her on the man, because she's going to be very exposed. So it's tricky. It's tricky. You could do it. And I would prefer, if I'm going to do Gyakudo or even Doa in this case, I would prefer to do it with Sanshin forward rather than back, to kind of help me not get caught off guard. Oh, you see, I think Red is trying to catch that timing for that Suriage. Oh, what happened here? Let's see. She hit a Hikikote, right? Yeah. Oh. So you guys gotta remember right now. Actually, this is something that I was told this past week at one of the dojos that I visit. That depending on how you might crash or not, and depending on the interaction that you're having there, this position is free game, right? Marek, if you're here, thank you very much for subscribing to the channel. Appreciate it. But in this interaction, if you're so close, if you're this close, you want to keep in mind that still free game for Hikiwasa, and Tayatari hasn't happened. So it doesn't follow into this whole thing with a new rule saying that, okay, you have 3 seconds and blah, 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 all this stuff. You have to be very mindful. And if you can observe, like, she's fluently just walking backwards and white is following her, right? So it's not like she was trying to separate and whatever. No, she's trying to separate. Red is trying to separate, but it's also being very alert. And because white decides to chase her, as soon as she has the opportunity, bam, she anticipates that and goes for that kote. Very nice kote. Oh. I like how how red is not raising her hands, right? So she's forcing her to kind of do things differently. It's so good how she's trying to get, you see how snappy she is with those feints, trying to get a reaction, reading. and doing all this stuff. Ooh, that thing, that reaction from White, I think, was good on trying to go for that kote there, because she caught her. You see, she maybe she's trying to bank on that. She caught her on this raise of the hands, and I think maybe Red said, "Oh, I forgot, I cannot come here." So, she tried to get her on that moment where she's raising the hands. So great eye on that. Unfortunately, it was a little bit late. I don't know if anybody in the chat has any tips for fighting against Jordan. What is your approach? What do you find successful? And on the other side, if you're a Jordan player, what advice you have for other Jordan players? Yep, that's all she wrote. That's all she wrote. My main advice is definitely always keep in mind that as a Chudan player, raising your hands to be, it might not make it safe against your opponent, right? There's another Jordan fight in the videos, but it's like 20 minutes long. So I think, yeah, we don't want to spend 20 minutes in one fight, right? There was another fight that I wanted to show. I think this one is both Chudan, but hold on. Okay. Yeah, this is both Chudan and Chudan. Let me see. Yeah. Okay, we'll watch this one. So, this is Mari Suenaga against Kana Minematsu. Suenaga, you might know her as Mariko Yamamoto. She used to be in the Osaka police, and now she lives in Wakayama. So she's fighting for Wakayama. Stefan, you said it looks like Red was so close to Kote of White, but did not hit it. Yeah, and that's one of those things, right? Like, you have to timing is very important, and a lot of times we tend to attack when we see the opening, but you have to kind of like be keen on figuring out when the opening is about to be there. That's why I think that's one of the main reasons why we as Kendoka, we don't train to just go and attack blindly, right? And we're always looking to pressure using seme, using our sword, using our body, our footwork in order to make an opening. And once you understand how to make that opening, you want to capitalize on it and try to learn to anticipate it. So yes, on the early stages, we're encouraged to just attack. That way our body gets used to just going, because many times, even when we get that, actually I was talking about this with Blake in the stream that we did together, that maybe you can go in, maybe you're gonna get a reaction, maybe you have an opening, but then you don't capitalize on it, right? Because maybe you're scared, maybe you're hesitating, and you don't do what you need to do. That reminds me, guys, I will be doing, let me tell you guys, I will be doing another stream with Blake. I was talking to him about that today. I'll put it on the Discord server, so if you haven't, guys, maybe you want to go pass by and be part of it. But on October 14th, I'll be doing a stream on Blake's channel, though. Okay, so yeah, if you pass by his channel, make sure that you say hi from Kendo Tips as well. So if you haven't, guys, I'm gonna put the Discord server in the chat. And again, if you would like to support the channel, I also put the membership link if you'd like to pass by and check it out. Okay. Okay, so hold on. So one of the things that makes Suenaga popular is her footwork. Estefan, you're welcome. Thank you again for passing by. Really appreciate it. So with Suenaga, you want to be watching her footwork. Her footwork, I think, is very hard to replicate, especially to replicate it naturally, because when we try to do her footwork, we tend to look like we're just hopping around. She looks like she's sliding around, and she's so good at that. And she does a lot of things that we're told not to do, but she does it in such a natural way that, she makes it work. It's her footwork. One of those things being, if you watch her forward foot, she's on the left right now. She's red. If you're gonna watch her forward foot, wait, hold on. Give it a second. Okay, so now she's coming forward. She does this a lot, where she lands with her heel and locks her knee, right? She's done this for years. You can watch like all their videos, and she does this consistently, but she makes it in such a way that it kind of looks like she's sliding into the foot. And then you see immediately she kind of just hops into the next step, right? So she almost uses it like as a break. And not always. It's not like she does it always. It's that she does this, and it's such a. I wonder if she does that on purpose or how she picked that up, right? You see? She did it again right there. Watch. She takes that step with the heel, and then it doesn't even take a full step. It kind of hops into the next to try to launch an attack. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this type of things or pay attention to this type of thing, but I find this so curious, and she does it so smoothly, right? Like she uses it kind of almost as a little bit of a pause to then go into the next step. Pretty cool if you ask me. Oh, that almost looked like an attempt to a Tsuki, right? Right there. Yeah, but she recovered pretty quickly. Oh, okay. It wasn't an ippon, right? But look at all the things that happen within this little interaction. Red comes in, puts pressure, and pretends to throw a technique, pretends to commit to a technique, but she changes the timing. And then as she approaches, it almost looked like she was going to go for like a do on the left. Like if you watch here, right? Like she throws the, give it a second. She comes for like a little bit of a man. She goes, puts the sword on one side, making her opponent guard her right side, and then goes for the left side of the do. Now, she also put herself a little bit in a dangerous situation because she was wide open once her opponent has. She was wide open with her opponent having the sword above her, so almost got caught with a man there, right? If her opponent would have a little bit of a better return from that defense on the right side, probably she would have been in danger at this point. But the fact that she was able to use her footwork and her timing to move around, and also the control of the sword in order to cause all these reactions and then go for this technique, I think it's a pretty interesting exchange to study. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I see some comments, so let me just catch up with some of these comments about that. Gecko timing is so hard. The timing. Why the timing? Why you say the timing is hard? And Stefan, yes, her footwork is amazing, and in general, I think everybody at this level has amazing footwork, right? But Suenaga definitely has exceptional footwork. And guys, I'm asking about the timing because I have something to share about Gyakudo that might be interesting. But yeah, tell me a little bit about the timing. What are your thoughts on that? Why is it hard for you to catch on the timing for Gyakudo? So, couple of tips if you want to execute Hikiwasa sharply and quickly. You want to have a little bit of space between you and your sword, right? Sometimes this is not possible, but this is ideal. Overall, you do want to have your sword towards the opponent rather than back. So you don't want to be caught up with your sword towards you. You kind of want to have it forward. And even though it wasn't a nippon here, I think it was a great execution because Red decides to step back, and because her sword is already aiming towards the opponent and is forward, she can sharply throw the sword forward and then quickly retrieve it to go back with that pull. So maybe something you want to keep in mind when you're in Super Serie I, getting ready to execute a Hikiwasa. Dragon, welcome to the stream. Thank you for passing by. It looks so effortless, but also powerful. Are we talking about footwork here? We're talking about impacts. In general, I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just asking specifically what are you talking about. Look how, man, it's like, I watch this and I'm like, I want to go to practice right now. I want to try this. I want to fight against these people too. Look what happened here. I think, I'm going to be honest, at this point, she probably would have gotten me with this one. She goes into one side and kind of turns one side, right? Making white to kind of move the hands up and kind of get a reaction. She stays there and then she kind of does it again to then try to execute a technique. So there's something sometimes when you're in a fight where you're trying to figure out the reaction of your opponent. So maybe this is what happened here, but sometimes once you do something once, you can try to guess, oh, maybe this person's going to do it again. So I think what happened here is that she did the exact same motion, got the same reaction, but now because of the position where the hands were, she got a little bit of a bigger opening and she tried to capitalize on it. Unfortunately, it was a nippon, but I think it was a great strategy and a great opportunity to take at this moment. Needless to say, great impact and great power with a very little motion on the sword. Very powerful. I don't know what you guys think, but for me, like, I think I wouldn't got right there. Would have been taken off by surprise. Not even gonna lie. And by the way, the answer to this type of things is to go, right? To attack. Because if you're frozen, if you're stopped there, either that or just completely get out of the way, but you also gotta be careful because the person might chase you, right? But you want to be mindful that, or you want to keep in mind that the best approach here is just to kind of like return that pressure. Oh, sorry guys. You guys know it's a little bit late for me here, so sorry for the yawn. It's not for nothing, but I wonder how tall White is, because I know Sunaga, she's probably like about this tall, right? So it's like she's She's not that tall. But she looks much taller, right? Like she looks dominant over White. Also, White's kama is a little bit too like, right? Like her shoulders are kind of like bending forward, right? Oh, that was also a great approach from White. Gotta be careful. That was a great attack from White. Oh, that was so smooth. Look at that. Look how she squeezed in there. Bam. That was so smooth. She did it so effortlessly. Right, it almost looked like a rubber band when she hit it. Look at that. Dragon, thank you very much for subscribing to the channel. Appreciate it. Welcome. Welcome. That was such a smooth kote. And again, look how she moves. She does her kendo, right? And she's not backing off. She's very aggressive. So it's pretty cool to watch as she doesn't lose her energy, but at the same time, not blindly coming in. Oh, that's confusing, right? Getting that whistle at this point. That's one of the reasons why when you're in Shiai, you don't stop at the whistle. You stop when you see 2 flags up, right? Like you don't want to be depending on that. The whistle is not for you. The whistle is for the Shimpan. Oh, she almost got her. And she almost got her because she caught her on the little bit of that forward motion, right? If you watch Red Suenaga, she goes backwards, but then tries to give the pressure. And a lot of times, I think this happens to me, so and I think it happens a lot too to people that I see around, that sometimes they try to give pressure and there's a little bit of a mental freeze. It's a little bit for maybe like half a second, like put in the pressure and you're trying to like see what's happening. But then at this point, even though you're seeing maybe the opponent who comes in and you get no reaction. I think maybe that's kind of what happened here, because she got her. She threw the technique after she came forward, and she threw a very, very nice attack. Unfortunately, it was a little bit too shallow to cancel Nippon, but great attempt, I think. Suenaga is really good at moving the Shinai around and then finding an opening and throwing it there. She has really good direction on how she throws the Shinai towards the technique. Stefan, why was it not a Nippon? Okay, let's bring it back for a second. Where was it? They were in that corner over here, I think. So let's see. Give it a second. Yeah, we'll get there. You'll see. It was close though. It was close. A great anticipation, and maybe for some judges, and maybe depending on who's fighting who, maybe somebody would have given that flag. Ah, no, it was further back, I guess. Further back. I think it was here. Ah, right here. So the reason for why this was not a nippon is because you want to put, I like to say this, and thank you to Griva Sensei for sharing this line with me, but you want to put the leather to the cloth, right? So at this point, that leather is still on the, maybe a little bit past the mengane, but it hasn't quite made it to the proper place, right? Great extension, but she missed it, baby, by like, I don't know, like 4 centimeters, because she had great extension, she had a great attempt, she had a great timing, she did it, everything else was perfect, maybe just a little bit too shallow. That's what I would have not raised my flag in there, because she didn't make it. But watching the whole thing through, you see, like even at that point, you can even see how like her head kind of just goes back a little bit because it hits the mengane, right? So, but maybe the head goes back because she's trying to like avoid it or something. But it's pretty obvious that it didn't hit the quite the right place. That's one thing you want to make sure that you keep in mind, right? You always want to train to use the farthest part of your shinai, yes, but you also want to make sure that it's in the correct target. So you have a little bit of leeway when it comes to getting nippon, right? You can go past this part, and like the target can be quite big, I guess, if you want to say that. For kote, it's a little bit less forgiving. For do, I think it depends on the judges. Tsuki, obviously, you only have one spot where you can hit it, but you want to make sure that you're always kind of paying attention to using the farthest part of your shinai, but to the correct point, the correct target, the correct place where it should be in. I don't know if anybody has any questions when it comes to this or anything that we have talked about today. I just want to say this, guys, this week, or actually not this week, yesterday, I posted a new video, and I've been a little bit slow on posting videos. I am organizing myself to do a little bit more. It's just that I was trying to figure out what would be the best way for me to record here in Japan, because in some places it's a little bit delicate to do so. So I'm sorry I haven't posted as much as I wanted to. Now I do have to say, if you could, I'm putting the video on the chat. So we're about to finish the stream. If you could take a second, go into this video and let me know your thoughts. Leave me a comment in the video. Watch it. I think this is pretty interesting, especially if you were trying to figure out how to do a little bit better footwork and how to create power behind your techniques. And if you have any suggestions for our next video and any questions, leave them there. I am writing all these things down. I'm trying to answer as many questions I can, either in the live streams or in the videos. So you guys are welcome to do so. And if you would like to send me a video to check out and stuff like that, this is one of the perks that to check out and to give you some feedback. This is one of the perks on some of the membership tiers. So if you could, please check out the membership. The member page, where you can see all the ways that you can help support all the different tiers that you can help support the channel, but at the same time you also get some benefits from that. So guys, if you don't have any questions, or if you have any questions coming up, join the Discord server. I think I put the Discord server link earlier, but I'm gonna put it again before I head out. So yeah, it's coming up. Yeah, right there. So guys, thank you very much for passing by. You can send me a message in the Discord, or leave a message in a comment in one of the videos, or anything you want me to talk about for the next stream. Your input is very valuable, so please don't hesitate, don't be shy on sending in stuff like that, because the purpose for this channel is for us to grow together and to make sure that we grow Kendo. So please, this channel is very dependent on you as well. Guys, thank you very much for passing by. Yes, you have a good night. I don't know what part of the world you're in, but definitely is going to be a good night for me. It's a little bit late for me, but I like this time, so maybe I'll do this time again, because I feel like it was a little bit easier for a lot of people in different places. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for passing by. You guys have a good rest of your week, get some good practices, and let me know if I can help you out with anything. Take care. Have a good one.